everybody! I'm here today in Rocky Ridge, Maryland to check out a really awesome playground slide. Oh, not this one. This one! Rocky Ridge, Maryland is just a quick detour if you're driving to Washington, D.C. or Baltimore, about 25 minutes north of Frederick.
There was some construction, so we took a detour on our way to the detour, and we ended up in Cunningham Falls State Park in Maryland, and it's really beautiful.
It's really pretty.
It's really cool.
It's a quiet community with a few churches and restaurants, named Rocky Ridge because of a ridge of ironstone that runs through the region. One of the local churches, Mount Tabor United Church of Christ, maintains Mount Tabor Park, and Jeff Sharrer and his son Kevin maintain the slide.
Then the next gentleman here is Richard Dinterman. He's on the board of directors for the park. And my father, Kenneth Sharrer.
Jeff invited all of them to the park to talk to me about the slide. It's a giant wooden municipal slide. It's about 35 feet high and 100 feet long. This area of Maryland is perhaps best known for its historic covered bridges, so it's only appropriate that the giant slide also resembles a covered bridge, just at an angle.
I grew up here, just like all these guys. We grew up here. We fell over more roots on those trees than you could imagine. That was part of the deal.
He told me that the park was founded in 1921 and 6.5 acres were given to the church for religious use.
There was a couple stipulations. No alcoholic beverages in the park, no firearms, and shooting of squirrels in this park. We know a couple of squirrels got out of here. Anyway.
Meeting Richard Dinterman is like opening up an encyclopedia about Rocky Ridge and Mount Tabor Park. He remembers it all, from a yearly event at the park called the Big Picnic.
It was an all-day affair where we did granite sacks. Now, you wouldn't even know what a granite sack is. It was a feed bag. We would pull the feed bag up and we'd have to hop. You couldn't walk, so you had a feed bag. And that was one of the biggest deals, being in those feed bag races.
To the train line that used to run past the park.
Amherstburg Junction, they called it. Engine number 6. The Dinky, they called it the Dinky. I don't know. And my mother rode that train to school.
The farmers shipped their milk from up here at Motor Station to the plants around.
That was called a Western Maryland Dairy up Motor Station.
We went from here to Emmitsburg. There was a little building right there on this side of the railroad where the people waited.
Kenneth Sharrer helped build the star of the show here in Mount Tabor Park, the giant slide. The original slide was constructed in 1925 but was destroyed in a fire in 1952. Kenny's father and Richard's grandfather were local carpenters who championed its reconstruction.
I was 15 years old at the time. There would be 8-10 men volunteer to mix the cement in. We done it by hand then.
All the wood is sturdy maple from the tree line that surrounds the park.
And they told them to Thurmont, to Sam Miller. I think it was Sam Miller's sawmill.
And the new slide ended up being a bit different from the original.
It went from a 20-foot high to a 30-foot high.
Whoa.
They made it bigger.
To get to the top, you climb up these wooden steps, and then check this out. On the way down, the wood is bent into rolling hills.
Some people came here from York, Pennsylvania, and it took them 2 days and 1 night. They never stopped. They just kept working, and they put them curves in.
The famous rolling wooden dips on the slide were actually created the same way the curves on Leap the Dips were, by soaking the wood and steaming it.
It's like building a boat. You gotta make it wet to bend the boards.
And soon the new slide was reopened in 1952 and became both a landmark and popular gathering spot for the community.
On certain nights, them Fisher boys, they were the big boys, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they wouldn't let us go to the top.
Oh.
No, they owned that top of that sliding board. So we'd go up maybe 3/4 and we'd have to crawl over the thing and then slide down because they owned the sliding board. I can remember that. So it was a hierarchy then too, you know.
But as long as the Fisher boys aren't there and you're allowed to use the whole slide, your riding material is important.
The best thing was those granite sacks again. Burlap is what it is. Burlap. My dad, we had army blanket. We could pile all 6 of us on that army blanket and it would fly, but it was so much fun.
And back in the day, some aspiring daredevils would get even more creative.
Yeah, we've had people get in the trash cans and slide down the slide or roll down the slide. And I think it was back in the 80s, someone had a Volkswagen and they ran her up the slide. And as I remember, they made it clear to the top with it. It's well built, but that's why it's built the way it is around the bottom, so you can't get in there as well now.
So we got some suggestions for what to bring to the slide, and apparently we heard that a giant towel is a good option to sit on, go down the slide. Also, a stick of butter for any wood brush burns, which may or may not be true, but you know, can never be too careful. But I wanted to take it a step further because last time I was on a wooden spiral slide at Knoebels, I got brush burns all over my body. I checked my closet to find something that would protect me from potential brush burns, and I found the perfect article of protective clothing. Safety first. I usually wear this for skiing, so I figured it would work well for all downhill activities. And now that I was suited up for safety, it was finally time to give this slide a try.
How was it?
Fun!
Yeah?
Yeah. But I also wanted to try a few other slide vehicles, so I brought along this flattened cardboard box. If you've ever visited Mac Miller's Blue Slide Park in Pittsburgh, you know that kids there have mastered the technique of using cardboard on that slide. You really can't stop once you're going down. It's a commitment. And also, on Ryan's suggestion, I brought this box of wax paper. I had my doubts about how well this would work until
The ladies would give us wax paper, and that would make it slippery for everybody.
if the master says wax paper works, then we had to try it. Ryan volunteered for this run, so first he had to put his protective gear on, which is just the same as my protective gear, except it doesn't fit him as well.
Here we go.
And so Ryan bravely ascended the stairs, but in hindsight, he should have heeded Richard's warning.
The heavier you are, the faster you're going to go on that slide.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh!
Oh my god. Did you faceplant? As advertised,
All right, let's do it again.
the wax paper experience was intense.
I knew to keep my mouth closed.
Now let's see which one was the fastest. Using the magic of video editing, we can sync those 3 runs up and see which one was the quickest. So the fastest was obviously the wax paper with a time of 5.41 seconds. So if you're visiting the slide yourself, that's what we'd recommend bringing along. And of course, a stick of butter.
We grew up here. I mean, this was our entertainment. There was no malls.
And like many roadside stops, there's a beauty in how meaningful the slide has become to the members of the community here.
One of the guys from the church, he wanted to propose to his girlfriend, and he gave me a call and said, "Hey, would you do me a favor?" He said, "I'd like to be able to get down the sliding board." And I proposed to her down here, and I said, "Yeah, we can take care of that." You know, there's snow. It was this past winter, we had a lot of snow here. And so I came down, we plowed clear down the sliding board, made room for him to turn around down here. And he brought her down, proposed. He texted me later, said, "Thanks," and she said yes. I said, there we go, that's a big thing.
So the slide, just a quick detour for some, a cherished memory for others. On the rest of our trip through Maryland, we made some new friends. Oh my god.
Made some new friends here in Rocky Ridge.
Stayed at a hotel with a mini golf course inside.
Oh, close.
And rode some new roller coasters. And then, on the way home to Pittsburgh, Ryan had an idea.
Since we're doing a slide episode, I figured on the way home we should maybe stop at the Mammoth Park Giant Slides. They're in Westmoreland County, which is near Pittsburgh, but we've never taken the detour before.
You only slide once, as they say. The Mammoth Park Giant Slide Complex is in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, and recently underwent a massive overhaul. The old slides were completely replaced with 2 new ones, both 100 feet long. One interesting element of this slide is that you have to either climb a rock wall or ascend a rope course to get to the top. Well, okay, there's a walking path up the hill too, but that's no fun. The Mammoth slide was really fun. Much different from the Rocky Ridge one, not just in that it's metal instead of wood, but also in that its thrills come from the side-to-side turns and not rolling hills. Then, it was Ryan's time to try it. We realized on this trip that even as adults, or maybe especially as adults, it's important to occasionally just let go of all your troubles and let a slide take you where it will. Maybe you crash, or maybe you land softly, but the joy is in the ride. Anyway, I don't need to turn this into a sappy metaphor, you get the point. Big slides are awesome.
Why don't more towns follow Rocky Ridge's lead and build giant wooden slides?
Wouldn't that make anyone's day better? Drive home from the office, pick up something for dinner, and then take a few spins on the giant slide before going home. It just seems like common sense.
Rocky Ridge has got it figured out though. So if you want to get some slides in, stop down any day from 8 to 7. As for us, we're sliding off into our next detour. So until then, happy road tripping!